So, ladies and gentlemen, hip hop fans are full of shit. And also, Bobby Shmurda missed major opportunities to save his life. So, for y'all that don't remember, I'm sure most of you do, but for the ones that maybe were too young or too old to remember, Bobby Shmurda was an artist who really blew up in the early 2010s. This was back when I was still a teenager, and it was a very big deal. He had the world in the palm of his hands, essentially, with hit songs in 2014 like Hot Boy and Bobby Bitch and Computers. It was a massive wave that was taking over. His Shmoney dance had gone viral. Again, to say he was a big deal is an understatement. Like, that song Hot Boy was probably one of the three biggest songs in hip hop in the year 2014. But Bobby Shmurda blew his opportunity in that time period, and he blew the opportunity before he even got it in the first place, just because of the fact that he was out here gangbanging, doing hood rat things with his friends, doing what they do. Things happen. He got caught up. They were already following him before he blew up. The police, that is. They were already following him before he blew up. Once he blew up, his time on top was short-lived. They scooped him and his friends up. They went to jail. Now, hip hop has some really stupid standards when it comes to the things that they believe is the right thing to do. Many of these standards are street-oriented standards, one being the concept of no snitching. So because Bobby was trying to live up to that standard, Bobby ended up in jail several years longer than he could have been, because he was trying to help out his friends, and people were saying that he's a real one, which, I guess you could argue that, but at the same time, his other friends, they literally got 98 years, so he only really helped out one friend, but it doesn't really matter. Either way, he ended up spending 7 years in jail. He came out about more or less 3 years ago, and when he came out, he experienced what many artists experience when they come out of jail, which is, while they were in jail, hip-hop fans, they hype him up so much, they act like they love him so much, they pretend, because many hip-hop fans are full of shit, they pretend. But then when he comes out, nobody really cares. It's crickets. Bobby Shmurda has been a free man for 3 years now. It doesn't matter, at least to the general public. Obviously, to himself, it matters. To his family or friends or whatever, it matters. But to the general public, it does not matter. Like, they just ignore him now, just like they do a lot of guys who come out of jail. So right now, he's been unfortunately getting some bad press because of the fact that he struggled to sell tickets for a tour that he was trying to go on. Allegedly, it's only sold about 10 tickets per city, more or less. And so it's become a big thing when many people are laughing at him, saying that he fell off and humiliating him. And I think there's multiple sides to this, and I think more than one thing can be right here. Like, first of all, the promoter, like, part of the reason this is going viral is because, like, the promoter has low-key been, like, clowning Bobby and posting screenshots and all this stuff. The promoter is lazy. Like, the promoter is lazy and incompetent. And this is another elephant in the room a lot of general fans don't really recognize, is that a lot of these people that work behind the scenes for all this music industry stuff, all of that mainstream stuff, whether it's the A&Rs, the people running these labels, or whether it's promoters, a lot of these people are lazy and incompetent, and they want you to do all the work. At the end of the day, before you even went as far as announcing a tour with Bobby in the first place, common sense should have told you. You should have done market research. You should have done more research to realize, hey, is Bobby in a position to where he could sell out any venue? Is he in a position to where he could sell tickets in the first place? That is something you should have had answered before you even approached Bobby Shmurda about doing a tour, let alone by the time it's announced publicly, because you set yourself up for failure from the start. So in that case, I kind of felt bad for Bobby Shmurda for going through that. But at the same time, this is still on Bobby as well. It's still on him as well, man. Like, and it's not to say that people wouldn't necessarily like seeing him or be entertained by it, because I'm sure we all remember that infamous video of him dancing on the table looking crazy, dancing on the table for the Epic Records and all those suit and tie people. And at the end of the day, even though that looks crazy, it looked crazy at the moment, it looked crazy in hindsight as well. At the very least, it showed you how entertaining he could be. So I don't think it's a issue as far as performance, like when it comes to people not wanting to buy his tickets. I just think it comes down to hip hop fans being very fickle. People, whether you go to jail or not, or regardless, people really just base their feelings on you based on, do you have hits right now? Just what have you done for me lately? And that's not just a music thing, that's just a life thing. Most people, it's always about, what have you done for me lately? And unfortunately for Bobby has not cranked out any hit songs. Now, that doesn't mean he hasn't put out any decent songs since then. And this is a major issue I have with a lot of hip hop fans. I've been saying for the past several months, I'm gonna start going hard at a lot of hip hop fans, because a lot of hip hop fans want to complain all day and disrespect artists all day, but then they don't ever want to look in the mirror when it comes to their role in the product that they're complaining about. But just because Bobby doesn't have a hit, that doesn't mean he hasn't put out any decent songs in the past 3 years since he's been released. It just means people don't care anymore. And again, this goes back to another big issue. Most hip hop fans, they don't bother to go out of their way to listen to new things. They don't keep an open mind. They only listen to whatever's on top 40 radio. They only listen to whatever's on these mainstream playlists like Rap Caviar. They only listen to whatever their favorite influencer post on their IG story or post in the middle of their Twitch stream. Most fans are very lazy, and they don't want to go out of their way to give something a chance. They don't. Now, again, does that absolve Bobby from the issue? No, it's still his fault. At the end of the day, he should have went much harder than he has gone when it comes to releasing. I don't know if he's dealing with issues with Epic, but as far as I know, he's independent, so I don't understand why he hasn't gone out of his way to drop 10, 15 albums back to back. Like, I know that sounds like a lot, but when you're in the position he's in, when you're in the position that he is in, where you've essentially gone a decade being off the radar, once you come out, you have to try to strike while the iron is hot. You gotta try to really get momentum back, and that would include cranking out as much music as humanly possible. Like, you can't put out one project here and then maybe a few months later one project there. Like, nah, bro. Like, you legit need to be on. I don't know if all y'all remember who Little B is. Little B was a very popular. He was he was a rapper, but he was also like a meme from the early 2010s. You got to be on that sort of level of like releasing, where you're literally dropping something like every 2 to 3 days. You're just dropping like 30 songs. And now, is that easy? No, it's not easy at all, especially when you're trying to maintain a certain level of quality. That's very difficult. However, I feel like he should have been more aggressive than he has been when it comes to putting stuff out, because now he's in a bad spot where, on top of this bad PR that makes him look bad, also there's not a whole lot that people can go back to in the first place, because even though he has put out music over the past 3 years, it's not a whole lot to throw out there. Like, sometimes, especially for someone who makes the type of music Bobby makes, you gotta throw as much out there as humanly possible to see what sticks, and I don't think he did a good enough job of that. But there is still lessons that a lot of, not just musicians like myself, but also a lot of content creators, aspiring YouTubers can take from this, which is, when the iron is hot, you gotta strike while the iron is hot. You gotta try to do everything within your power to strike while the iron is hot. Because there's no guarantee that you're gonna stay pop. Once you get on a hot streak where it feels like you can't miss, there's no guarantee that you're gonna be able to maintain that for a long period of time, especially if you're an artist or a content creator who has no ties to these corporations that have YouTube and these other platforms in their back pocket. So you're in a position where at any moment you could get demonetized or banned, whatever the case may be. You gotta try to strike. And I feel like that's a big issue that Bobby had, not just now, but also even when he first came out. I feel like that was a major issue. Like, for anybody that remembers, if I'm not mistaken, Shy Money XL was trying to, before Bobby got caught up and arrested in the first place, Shy Money XL was trying to get Bobby to go to the West Coast to lay low for a while. Now, I can't remember why Bobby said no. If you remember, let me know in the comments. But either way, that obviously was an opportunity that Bobby should have taken advantage of to get out of the New York tri-state area, because clearly, and again, the investigation with the NYPD, that was something he was dealing with before fame. And if he already understood that, I can't wrap my head around why he wouldn't try to get out of New York. I don't understand why he didn't try to flee while he had the chance, but it's neither here nor there. I'm really going 100 miles per hour today. It seems like all my videos, I'm just talking way too fast right now. But let me know, do you like Bobby Shmurda? But real quick, one last thing. It's sad how quickly people will turn around and just laugh at your failures in just the most disrespectful manner imaginable. I'm gonna put some screenshots up here of some of the people that will just, in the comments of Bobby's videos, clowning him, laughing at him as if this is just some sort of joke, when in reality it's his life. Regardless of if you guys care about him or not, this is still his life. And this is another example of why musicians, content creators, anybody who's being creative and uploading content, this is why you gotta view it like a business. Even if you're passionate about it, you gotta view it like a business. Because a lot of the people in the general audience are disrespectful as hell. They're ungrateful. And if you fall off, if you have a down moment, these people will do nothing but laugh at you.